So, Cybermutt 2003. I guess this is one of many pop culture Cybermutts or technology dogs that exist in the world, isn't there? Like there was that one episode of Black Mirror. There was Astro from the Jetsons. There was K9 from Doctor Who. Can you think of any others?
Negative. I cannot think of any others that would fit in the realm of badness that we wanted to talk about today.
Are you just doing the K9 from Doctor Who voice?
Affirmative. The original voice, though, not the one in that bad season.
I stand by season 17 of Doctor Who.
You do not. I can tell by your voice that you are lying. You are not fond of that incarnation of K9.
Okay, the K9 in that season. This isn't a podcast about Doctor Who. This is a
Today
podcast
on
about
Backward
bad
at the Front
movies.
Dumpster.
Are you going to keep doing that voice this whole time?
K9.
How drab, how dull critique can be. It's begging and pleading for apathy. The good, the bad, the in-between. And nothing is everyone's cup of tea. No time to waste, there's things to do. Jared and Eric are happy too. They'll suffer the worst of films for you. So enter the strangest of banquet rooms.
Well, this one has been not a long time coming, but we've been waiting for this one.
A month, like about a month.
So, Eric, I've genuinely forgotten. I'm not just cueing you. How did you come across Cybermutt, of all things?
So, Cybermutt came across, I forget who I was looking up, but I went down an IMDb hole. So, I was in a Shoppers Drug Mart, and they have this discount movie bin, and they did not have Cybermutt, but they did have this movie called Andre that looked fantastic. It had a seal with like a rain jacket and sunglasses, and I was like, this movie looks incredible.
Did you buy it?
I looked up that. I did not.
Why?
I looked up that, and I said, interesting. It's directed by George Miller. And I was like, I know he did like Babe and stuff like that, but I didn't think that he did this. And I click on it. A different George Miller. With a different director, also named George Miller. And so I was like, okay, what else has this George Miller done? Cybermutt.
And you decided that Cybermutt was more important than Andre the
Have
Seal
you
movie.
seen that poster?
Yeah, I've also seen the poster for Andre the Seal movie because you showed it to me.
But as soon as I saw it, I knew it was like flum at first sight.
I think we had a really hard time tracking this movie down. I tried all of my usual resources and I couldn't find it.
I did the same.
We
tweeted
at Criterion, the Criterion
Yes.
channel.
That I thought, and they might still add it.
I hope they
know.
do. I haven't seen it yet, but it may very well be true art.
Yeah. But I was talking to somebody who was just offhandedly said, oh yeah, like I wanted to watch this rare movie and I went to the library and they had it at the library. And I was like, right. I could check for movies at the library. And I look up at the Toronto Public Library had one copy of Rex le Chien in French, and I'm like, oh, do we watch this in French? But it looks like there's an English audio track. Thankfully. Otherwise, we're in for a very weird experience, even weirder than this movie looks.
Turns out, having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. I think that I did, when we were struggling to find it, I did try and look it up on YouTube, and I watched a short clip because I wasn't sure if it was going to be necessary in the first place. And after, like, I didn't even make it through the whole clip. I saw, like, a minute and a half, and I went, like, no, this is essential.
Yeah. And I had no such doubts.
I
saw
invite
that
you, dear
poster.
listener, to go look at the poster that's on our Instagram. Go give our Instagram a follow while you're at it.
Yeah. Early plug.
Early plug. Also, tweet at us something. We need to do more of those. We need to ask people to do more social media engagement with us, because we don't do that enough.
Yeah, and being in our cyber society, and needing to get, cyber best friends, it will be important for this particular episode.
Yeah.
For you to tweet at us and let us know.
Tweet at us and tell us why you think you are the best cyber friend.
Yes.
There, that's my social media plug. The poster
that's
looks...
going to get a lot of traction, you can tell.
Yeah. I know how to Twitter.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Cybermutt.
the poster is what I was saying, that you can look at it on our Instagram. The poster looks sublime.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull it up.
It reminds me of another poster that I found that I also feel like is essential to watch for Dog Gone. Where it just, somebody said, I'm going to put this dog on a poster looking ridiculous and it will sell it for kids, which it does. And for us.
So the poster for Cybermutt, it's this golden retriever wearing sunglasses, flexing his dog arm like some kind of bodybuilder, and the tagline reads, "Part dog, part machine, all best friend."
Yeah.
It's glorious. It's glorious.
So if you want to be our part dog, part machine, all best friends, follow us. No. I think we got to watch this. We have waited over a month. This has been I haven't stopped thinking about this for a single day.
Should we discuss what we're expecting? Are we looking for an anar? Are we looking for a flum? Are we looking for something that's just unexpectedly delightful? I feel like this could go any of those three ways right now.
So I'm afraid that it's going to be on the level of the early 2000s direct to Disney Channel movies. Of not terrible, not great, just there. I'm hoping that it is either more painful and worse done, or more fun and worse done.
Yeah, I feel like my my expectations are so high right now that I'm probably going to come away from it disappointed,
Yeah.
I feel like we went to so much work to find this movie that it's not going to live up to the hype, and it's just going to be, there's a Cybermutt.
Well,
there's
I hope
a dog.
Because I hope that it's more like a Karate Christmas Miracle, which I got very excited for, and we watched, and I loved even more than I was expecting.
Yeah, but a Karate Christmas Miracle had Eric Roberts in it.
Yes.
This does not have Eric Roberts in it.
Maybe not legally, but it did have Eric Roberts. This has the next best thing in my mind, which is a CGI maybe animal doing crazy stuff.
You think that the Cybermutt is going to be CGI?
I do think that. I hope that they didn't just subject a poor dog to having to wear all of the cyber gear that I assume this dog has to wear. But we'll see. I think we should watch it. I think we got to get into it.
I think I agree. I think I don't want to wait another minute.
The time has come.
Okay.
Let us go.
Full spoilers for Cybermutt, if you're ever able to track it down.
Yes.
Are after...
Or Rex le Cyberchien for our French listeners.
Those will proceed after this musical interlude.
Remain on the edge of your seat in a moment. Your hosts will return with the fruits of their suffering. Every last thought that is currently buffering too. The time has arrived, their opinions will now debut.
Cybermutt. That song was by far the best part of this movie.
That song at the end credits of Cybermutt was the only part of Cybermutt worth watching.
Kind of in the same spirit of like Zombievers, they have a song at the end that this is like this techno punk summary of the film.
I love how you reference Zombievers as if our listeners would know what Zombievers is.
I feel like they might.
Some of them might, but like I feel like you're
possibility.
referencing Zombievers because I remember Zombievers, and I remember Zombievers for the song Zombievers at the end more than I remember Zombievers for the Zombievers.
But you act like you could say the title Zombievers and the people who aren't familiar with it wouldn't look it up. Like that's what happens with the title Zombievers. You're like, wait, there's a movie called Zombievers? And that's the same thing with a movie called Cybermutt. You feel like you walk into Cybermutt thinking, okay, I feel like this could be a lot of fun. What happened? The fun was just not a lot. There.
The movie Cybermutt was not very interested in having fun with its main premise. It was not interested in the fun of being a movie about a Cybermutt. It kept trying to, like, the opening scene, off the top of my head, it's so sinister.
Yes.
In a way that's like, why is a movie called Cybermutt starting in a way that looks like a horror movie?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because Cybermutt is not all that interested in the part of its plot that's about the Cybermutt.
It's also, I feel like, the whole... the part that is about the Cybermutt did not take full advantage of the fact that it was a Cybermutt. Like, it basically did things that, like, a smart dog would do. You know? I feel like this reminds me more of Air Bud than anything else. Where it's just like, this dog that is more than your average dog who can play basketball and, like, is just a very talented dog. That's what you kind of get here. You don't get the, like... I was expecting, especially with all of the references to the $6 Million Man, like calling it the $6 Million Dog, which, first, he said something that referenced that show, and I was like, oh, it's like the $6 Million Dog, and I made that joke. And then the guy goes, but it's not like that 70 TV show. And then later, he's just like, you're the $6 Million Dog. Make up your mind. But yeah, like that show, you expect, okay, this guy has bionic powers. He's going to do the stuff that, like, a superhero would do. Not just, like, be able to, like, accurately predict how a wrench will fall on a bad guy's head.
When
like,
he drops it directly over top the bad guy's head.
Yeah. It's like these things that, it's like, oh, he has thermal vision. Okay, what's he gonna do with that thermal vision? he's gonna bark because he's just a dog. That's it.
There was that one scene where the dog could precisely imitate the sounds that he heard from the television.
Yeah,
but that
there was the Bumblebee scene where he could just become a radio and communicate, and I'm like, okay, now he's going to be able to speak like Bumblebee does. Nope.
Yeah, so, like, in place of spending time having fun with this idea of a bionic dog, Cybermutt, the movie, is much more interested in this emotional story of a child whose father died, who has no friends, whose only friend is this dog. And it was not an emotional through line that I felt any particular investment in.
No. It like, I keep referencing the so like it fits in with, I feel like, this early 2000s animal movies in a way that I was hoping it wouldn't. I was hoping it would be something more because of the premise, but it does remind me a lot of like the MVP Most Valuable Primate. You know, the skating monkey movie. And its sequel that apparently exists. And all of these movies I'm referencing, I think, are also actually made by the same, like, Vancouver-based Canadian production company. And this is also a Canadian movie-ish.
Wait, is Air Bud made by that same Vancouver production company?
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Really?
All of these, like, vague animals that are smarter than the regular animals movies from the early 2000s, whether they're playing sports or, you know, being bionically enhanced.
So you sound like you have a really good handle on this this cycle of films from the early 2000s of smarter than the average animal movies. I have two questions for you then. Why do you think it came about in the first place? Like, what cultural anxieties do you think sparked this cycle of films, and why do you think they have stopped?
So I don't necessarily I think that it responding to anything culturally, but I think it is expanding into, like, what you see in the early 2000s is this era of the family film that is I think that there was this realization that kids, more than anything, were watching content on TV and looking for stuff that wasn't cartoons. They wanted stuff that was funny, and one of the big things with kids is animals, you know, being interesting on TV is this funny thing for kids. So I feel like there was this wave, in part because it became suddenly possible to just make a low-budget movie where all you really needed was, like, one name actor, a couple good animal trainers that came with a dog or a monkey, and, you know, a basic script that you can get to 90 minutes and have a couple of chuckles in.
And probably some bad guys looking to kidnap the animal, or in this case, literally kill the dog.
Yes,
with
literally
a gun,
shooting at the dog. Yeah.
So the reason why the bad guys want to kill the dog, like they literally, the reason why they want to kill the dog in this movie is because the dog has a MacGuffin in its head. Because the Cybermutt, before he is a Cybermutt, dives in front of a car that's just randomly driving through a forest to save this scientist character, who then rescues the dog with his science powers and installs this super powered chip into his brain.
Yeah. So the other thing that I would say about the this wave of films, I think a lot of it also comes down to the success of Air Bud. You know, just when you have a movie that succeeds at the level that Air Bud did, where it just, like, it was definitely a movie they didn't think was going to be as successful as it was, because there are other dog movies that had come before and came after, but
there's no rule in dog movies that says that a dog movie can't be successful. Yes.
There's also no rule in basketball that says a dog can't play basketball.
Yeah, that's the line that I was referencing.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Air Bud, by itself succeeding, was able to create, I think, this whole movement. And the reason why it died was probably going too hard.
There were too many buds.
You had all of the Air Bud movies. You had Air Bud Buddies. You had the MVP and MVP2, I think, most vertical primate. And it's where he skateboards. And then you have the whole Cats and Dogs franchise. I
remember seeing a poster for that. I don't remember ever seeing the movie.
Yeah, no, there's Cats and Dogs, there was Cats and Dogs 2, and there's Cats and Dogs 3, The Revenge of Kitty Galore.
What? There were 3 of them?
At least. They had Space Chimps, I don't know when that came out. G-Force, you know.
That was fairly recent, though. That was much more recent.
G-Force?
G-Force?
I feel like G-Force was probably like 2006. I don't know exactly.
It feels more recent. Let me check.
It might have been later, but that, I feel like, by the time G-Force came out...
G-Force was 2009.
Okay, so, like, then I think by the time G-Force came out, you kind of had milked this till it was done, and they were like, what other animals can we get? What other... Oh, guinea pigs! Guinea pigs!
Do you think... Because I remember seeing the trailer for G-Force and seeing a lot of CGI guinea pigs. Do you think that the influence of the shift to CGI has any effect here on the death of this cycle?
I think that once CGI came into it, you were able to do more with the dog than you could when it was just a practical effects thing of you're going to maybe speed up and slow down the footage, or I guess just toss the dog in the air so he could dunk. That I think that once you have CGI, it does make all of the practical work that you had done feel less impactful, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that you can't make that same movie anymore. Maybe there are still people making these movies, and they're just really, really bottom of the barrel in terms of attention. But I do really think that it comes down to the fact that kids got so used to CGI that the practical is just not going to cut it anymore. Whereas in the 2000s, it was just kind of marvelous to be able to see and suspend your disbelief that a dog could do these things, and you could kind of ignore the, obvious guy throwing it in the air or saying oh, go fetch, and you don't need to think about that with a CGI dog or a CGI guinea pig. I think also the reason that I cannot emphasize that G-Force would have probably been practical if it wasn't guinea pigs. I don't think you could train a guinea pig to the same extent you could train a dog. Especially to, be spies.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they had made... I will say this. If they had made G-Force in the same way that they had made Cybermutt, I think it would have actually been hilarious.
I kind of want to see that.
Just to try to make a movie where you were just no, but they're gonna be actual guinea pigs, and they're gonna only do stuff that guinea pigs can actually do, but they're spies. I think you would just get some really underwhelming spy work.
How far can we extend this? Can we imagine a movie where like goldfish are like secret assassins.
Oh,
But like with practical
interesting.
goldfish, like real practical goldfish, and you just like drop a tiny little gun, like sniper rifle, into the goldfish bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, or like you could even just think about like, what if they just made Finding Nemo but with real fish? Because that's kind of what Cybermutt's approach is, you know, just, no, we're gonna just make it like, oh, what would an actual dog do here? Let's find out.
Yeah, you described that it felt to you like there was a tension in the writer's room between we want this dog to do neato amazing stunts, and also we don't want this dog to do anything that a normal dog could not also do, even though it's like a superhero dog canonically in the story.
Yeah, I think that there was I feel like there were multiple voices in the room, one of which was saying, I want to make this fun by like we're going to camp it up a little. We're going to, you know, give this dog some superpowers. He's going to be able to fly like, or like at least leap far places, and you have like moments of that. Then I think there was the like another voice that said, no, but if we keep it grounded in reality, we can tell this emotional story about the kid and his dog that everybody loves.
And his dad that died that we kept having to
Yes.
be reminded of.
Yeah, but that is the thing. A lot of these movies also have that kind of tension. Like there's always some like the animal almost always takes a background to some conflict going on in the human character's life. Like the human characters have the main plot that is like informed by the animal superpower subplot.
There was a like, I make fun of the emotional through line of this film for being mostly uninteresting, but there was an interesting moment when Rex the Cybermutt is on the operating table to become the Cybermutt, and the scientist is reassuring the child who lost his dad that like, no, I can fix him. Rex is gonna be okay. Rex saved my life. I'm gonna fix Rex. And the mom is like, don't say that. That's what all the doctors said when his dad was dying of cancer. And I think that made for a genuinely interesting moment, and like a nice bit of like mirroring with this story that took place off screen. But like that was an interesting moment, and that like came out of this movie.
It did, and I think that like it speaks to the fact that these are like writers who probably have previous and later credits, because they're able to put together a script that's on a basic level actual 90-minute movie. It isn't like just padded with let's make the dog do stupid stuff. They wanted to tell a story. It just falls into like the realm of mediocrity.
Yeah,
more than
I feel like
anything else.
This movie would have been more interesting with less competent script writers.
Exactly. Yeah. And as it is, it just kind of fits in that you could probably see this in the early 2000s as a TV movie with a bunch of commercials spliced in. Like, I could probably pinpoint exactly where the commercials would be, because it felt like that kind of movie, even though it wasn't, I think, a TV movie.
I think it was a TV movie. On IMDb, it's listed as a TV movie.
Well, then that explains it, because it does feel no more and no less than that. And that's really disappointing to me. I feel like if we had found something that was significantly worse than a TV movie, I would have been a lot happier with it.
Yeah. So, overall, what do you think we've learned today?
I think we've learned that the early 2000s animal movies are going to constantly disappoint us. I think that they are all going to be like this. Tons of promise, little payoff. If, dear listener, you know of the perfect bad early 2000s super animal movie, if there is a talking cat exclamation mark equivalent from the early 2000s done with a real dog or something,
or a real goldfish,
ridiculous things, especially a real goldfish. I will say that. If there's a goldfish movie out there, we want to see it. And if you're currently making that movie, feel free to come onto our podcast and talk about it.
Or just tweet it at Flumdumpster, while you're also tweeting at us why you think you would make the best cyber friend, or whatever it was that I said in the first part. And while you're at it, go follow us on Twitter at Flumdumpster. And also follow me on Twitter at Jared Aronoff.
And on Instagram at Flumdumpster.
And on TikTok at Flumdumpster.
And on both of those platforms, you can follow Tarquin Alexandra, the composer, producer, performer of our theme songs that you've been hearing, at TARQ Alexandra on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can listen to her most recent EP, A Tyrant's Demise, on Spotify, Apple, or any other music platform of your choosing.
Thank you for listening. I would say you don't need to go bother watching Cybermutt, but I don't think you'd ever have a chance to. So
no, because we put way too much work into finding this movie that was rather underwhelming and disappointing. Sometimes.
But our first Canadian movie.
Yeah, that's true. It was Canadian. We were not expecting that, but it was a Canadian movie.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel as an expert in Canadian cinema?
Well, I would say not disappointed, but not surprised.
And with that, I hope that you all vote.
If the concept were to exist that I'm to explain, which it doesn't, in hypothetical terms, every form of art has a bucket, a container to categorize the format and style, the greats and the rotten. The podcast that you've just consumed did the work for you by scraping the bottom